welcome to Collaboratory, the show where Mike Morris improvises an animatic with a little help from our audience, and we learn about the craft of storyboarding along the way. Mike, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Doing good. Always looking forward to Collaboratory. And for those in the audience who are just joining us live, today we're looking for prompts for characters, a setting, and a conflict. So don't be shy. Feel free to jump in with your suggestions and any questions they might have about drawing storyboards. And to give our viewers some inspiration, Mike, what are some of the storyboards that we've improvised in the past?
Oh, goodness. So the first one was the Venus flytrap and the fly and the concept of time travel and going to the mystical land of Fruit Garbage Land. We did Sia in the castle, the vampire castle. We did Fish in the desert, driving a car. We Come on, man, help me out here. We've been doing a few of them.
There's the one with the cat on the space station. That was
Yes.
chasing after a little robot.
Yeah, there was
And
that
of course,
one.
the wizards who were flying a city over New York.
Yes, that one was fun. I'm texting out to a couple of friends that the Collaboratory is live right now.
Well, while we wait for suggestions to
Okay.
roll in, Mike, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the differences between the roles and responsibilities of, say, a storyboard artist, a storyboard supervisor, and an episode director?
Okay, so first let's start with the episode director. Episodic directors are responsible for an episode from start to finish, whereas storyboards basically just get chunks of it. Generally, you'll have a board team consisting of about 3 people, generally, sometimes 4. And every show is different. Every show has a different thing. And storyboard supervisors can be kind of in the middle territory of some of this. It just all depends on the production workflow. But so your director will have a script, or if it's a board-driven show, a premise. And they'll say, well, we have this much episode. I'm going to divvy this up and give you a chunk, you a chunk, and you a chunk. Then they go back with their script and thumbnail it out. Sometimes the director will have ideas about specifically like shots that they really want to see. Like, I think this part where our hero, jumps down into this chasm or whatever like that. I think I have a specific vision for this, right? But they're basically like herding the storyboard artist into a position that they want for the entire episode. Okay, so you're overseeing things, you're making notes. One of the funny things about being a director, actually, and I discussed this with the great Pete Michaels, who is a director and supervising director for some time now. And we were talking about, like, when you're a revisionist, you start out in the business as a storyboard revisionist, and you're like fixing stuff that's broken, right? And then you become a board artist, and then you start generating the art, and you're coming up with the shots. You're thinking about the nuts and bolts of the storytelling, and then you become a director, and you basically become a glorified revisionist. So you're back revising boards that come in, but with way more power. So as a board artist, like I said, you're responsible for interpreting a script or interpreting a story into visuals. Whether it be from a script where you've got stuff like written out, like character A does such and such at talks to character B or says this or does this or runs here or whatever. And that's like your job. You're like shot by shot going through and telling a story. And the director makes sure that all of those boards get put together.
So we have some prompts that came in.
Oh, we did. What do we got? What do we got?
So one of the prompts is for a location being a prison, with sharks as characters and crocodiles. Other suggestions have come in for more undersea animals. So orca whales as guards or an octopus as a warden. Someone else is suggesting a haunted underwater ship or cavern. Again, with the sharks and octopus, people really seem to want to have undersea creatures in some sort of conflict. Another option would be a haunted underwater ship.
Both strong options. So underwater is the theme this time. Okay, so underwater. What about like a pirate ship that's a prison? Like
Like
basically the pirate ship
a
is the
brig.
prison. Yeah, yeah, that sort of thing. Like
That
it's
sounds fun.
like an underwater pirate ship that's been converted into like a prison house.
Okay.
Because one of the things about underwater is you can't have like a normal prison yard, right? Because there's no ceiling.
I'll fly a
You can just swim out.
swim.
I think going to prison would be especially dangerous for sharks because they cannot function without moving. That's how they breathe. So let's see. Let's start in on some sort of an establishing shot, right? We've got. Let's not do blue. Let's just do a nice gray color. Let's see. There's some sort of coral right here, and since we've gone over so many times, uh, let's uh, let's draw these a little bit rougher today. So what about a nice down shot where we see like the creaking and um, broken parts of the deck and the prow that's kind of like messed up, and then like the sweeping part with the helm up here.
Hey, Mike, what if you put
Yeah,
the ship in a bottle?
we put the ship in a bottle, huh? Well, um, ship in a bottle. That would definitely make things kind of interesting and weird. But I don't know necessarily that like would that even be populated? Except for
Hmm.
like if there's some sort of alien was like running the show.
I might be overthinking this a little bit.
Because I mean, this is a hard-boiled prison thing, right?
That's
There's,
true.
there's like the captain's cabin sort of deal, and then the stairs that go up on either side to the where the helmsman would be, um, and then maybe like this is in like a some sort of a cavern. You've got broken stuff, and maybe like just a broken pieces of things right here, and then a below deck portholes and like places where you would like fire a cannon or whatever. And then to make it even more ominous, we can even put like some of those like underground volcanic kind of things and
Event.
yeah, volcanic vents. Make this sort of like a dark, ominous chasm where this ship is finally landed. It's got bubbles because bubbles are cool and underwater stuff. Okay, so here's our prison ship. Just to give it a little bit of flavor, though, I think we just need to just to lay down some easy tones underneath. And one of the things that I like to do is if I'm going to put tones underneath something, I'll put it on a separate layer underneath. Even though this is a BG layer, I think that's important to just have something there that you can just draw on top of. So let's see, make my brush bigger and just give it an overarching tone. And I like to use my textured marker brush because I think it looks fine. It looks fun. And that's going to snap to underneath it once it's done processing. So now I have this on top here, and it's a dark gray, so I have to turn it into black so we can actually see it. And now I can just sort of draw on top of it and add even darker tones here and there. So where we're seeing that this is like a really dark place, and add bits of gradation to it.
We had a question in the chat for you, Mike.
What's the
How
question?
do you organize your layers? So for background, character, and other items.
Like so, I have a BG layer and then layers A through E, which I generally keep fairly fairly keep to that. But mostly, I think that was because that was the way I was taught that animation layers should sort of go. And we're gonna give there's a really good way to make something look like it's inhabited, and that's adding light, because light generally is not a thing that happens on its own. So we're gonna put like little bits of light in here, like it's coming through the grate, and maybe just a very dull light here, the entrance to the cabin. Okay, so let's see here. We have. I think we should cut to the inside. What do you think? We've got our
Yeah, I think that
establishing
makes
shot.
sense. Introducing characters.
Yeah, so let's add just a little drift in, because drift ins are fun in establishing shots. So we're gonna go just from this to just coming in, and let's do a new shot. Okay, so introducing characters. What do we got? We've got sharks. We've got what else?
An octopus, orca were the three most commonly suggested creatures.
Okay. So let's see. I think we should start with the. So either we start with the warden or the authorities, or we start with the prisoners. What do you think?
I think starting with the warden would probably be stronger, and then we can move to the prisoners.
All right, cool. So let's start. We've got our shot right here. So we need something that's going to be around in this sort of a zone, right? Because we're thinking about screen direction. So the biggest source of light that we've got is coming from right here. So let's start our shot with some sort of a prison-esque hallway, the brig, as it were. Let's put our going back. We can put our perspective point right around here, because we want everything to sort of point to that. We're gonna make it just a tad larger, and we can see like beams and old ship stuff.
That's the nautical term.
Yeah, old ship stuff. Totally a nautical term.
Yeah, or that be old ship stuff.
Yeah, the yar is a must. You have to say that.
Vast.
Yeah, that's another one. That's another good one. Yeah. Good on you for knowing your nautical terms.
That's the only two you need, really.
Well, and then ahoy. Of course, you need that one.
Ahoy, if there's something coming on the port bow.
Yeah. Yeah, the bow and the stern and all those other cool things. And I'm thinking that like this should be a little bit more like cramped and tight in here.
Make it look more claustrophobic.
Yeah, just a little bit smaller, because none of these things were terribly large. I mean, if you've ever been on even like a modern ship, like I remember we like when I was a kid, we did a tour of like an aircraft carrier, and those ships are huge, but on the inside they're still very small. And that's like one of the biggest ships around, you know. So this I would think would be terribly small. So we'll just keep bringing that stuff in there, and then we'll have that. And we'll put in some bars. Okay, bars. And then you know what? We'll get rid of some of these perspective lines here because we don't necessarily need them anymore. And then on a separate layer, we'll have some sort of a door that's keeping everything. You know, maybe have it be like iron banded or something like that. Right? Okay.
Yeah, it looks right to me.
Coming back to here, let's just add some bars. Okay. So, opening this door. You know, we're going to put this on a different level. I'm going to take and grab all of this, do that. I'm going to put it on layer C because we need something to be behind it. So therefore we need layers underneath. And I'm just going to take a quick sec and just do like a small tone layer. And this is a fun little trick. If you use the contour editor, which is a very a tool that I think not enough people utilize. You can just grab a couple of these points out and quickly make just a solid tone layer. No, I like that a little bit darker. I think that works. Okay, so then we need to do the same for the door. Then perhaps a slightly lighter tone behind it, so it does look like there's, you know, something there. Yeah, something behind the bars. Then maybe we'll go with one shade even darker for the actual cells themselves. So we have, oh, whoops.
Do you have any thoughts about the which character should be the warden? I'm kind of feeling like maybe Octopus is creepy enough.
Yeah, I think Octopus is great.
You know, all these different arms like be holding keys.
Sure. I think that sounds awesome. Now, one thing I did is I sort of painted myself into a proverbial corner here by having them all in the same layer. So I'm just going to cut and paste over the top. That way now we have something that's a little bit more visible. So duplicating the layer, we're going to swing that door open. And I'm going to use the perspective tool because that makes it rather easy to do. Select this door and move it like this. Make it swing open like that. And then with this tool, I'm going to just flop it. And now we have open door. And of course, we can add a little bit of extra to it. So just give the door a little bit of thickness. And then behind the door, we have the warden. Let's see. Now we thinking these are anthropomorphic. Well, these are kind of anthropomorphic anyways, but what's the clothes situation here?
Are you asking how would a octopus wear pants? Would it be uh, on all of the legs or just two of the legs?
I would think that you would have to like split it up a little bit better. Maybe if he's going to be of the suit variety, then I would think that he would have like multiple, like basically split it into pairs. So we have 8 legs, right? If we divided them into
So 4 legs and then 4 arms.
four legs and 4 arms, and I think that would work splendidly. So
Having two of each coming out of sleeves.
yeah, and then even like down here, it can just be like a free for all of the 4 legs. Just sort of
One of the
lurching and
chat
scrambling.
participants is mentioning you could just give him a belt with a big buckle.
Ooh, okay, a belt with a big buckle. All right. Are we talking like pro wrestling championship buckle? Or
I
just
think
a
the suggestion was instead of clothes, just a belt and a big buckle.
Oh, okay.
But
I could get behind that. It's a little bit more piratey, right? So like you've got him just sort of like this, and he's got the belt,
oh, that's
this
great.
big buckle. You know what? We can even put like a sword, like a cutlass
Mm.
on the one side. So we just see him, he's got one of his appendages. So now we need to put the C under level B. Or we put this guy on level D and put C back where it was. So he's got one hand on the door handle, opening it up, and then maybe like one like this, and another like this. So we see like this guy can do like a ton of different things and is not necessarily relegated to one thing at a time like some of these others would have to be. All right, cool. So um opens it up. Then I think we need one more panel here where he starts to move through, like he starts to
Slither.
go. Yeah, he starts to move into the territory of these prisoners. So we'll get that out of there. Turn it red. Maybe even give him like a little bit of a look. A slight sneer on one side where he's eyeballing to see if things are okay or if they're not. And if they're not, he's going to regulate. Just take it off, draw behind. Then for an animator, this would be an interesting challenge too, because then you have to figure out like how the upright octopus sort of slithers through, how those legs sort of.
All the C curves and S curves.
Yeah, exactly. So in order to save our animators, we are going to cut to where we don't have to see the legs. And then this one can just be like, residually hanging out because it just opened the door. All right, and then let's cut. So new shot. All right, now I'm thinking that this might be a good opportunity to have like some of that like classic Western framing, where we're shooting from the inside of one of these cages or one of these cells.
Sound of keys jangling while he's slithering forward.
Yeah, so we've got this sort of thing, and then we'll put a wall right here, because these brigs didn't just have bars all over the place. Wood is a lot cheaper than metal and much easier to work with. So I would doubt that they would have just like bars between cells. So we'd have like this hunk of metal right here, and then another wall. Hunk of metal there. And we're trying to have like at least one sort of perspective point that we can push to. Ideally, we would set up some guides, right? And these perspective points would go way the heck over here, and then there would be one that would be almost like a 1 point perspective. So if we had this in our perspective point, let's say it was put our perspective point there, because it's good to be in the habit of at least having some kind of perspective to pull from, right? So this perspective point would be, like I said, over there. Perspective point. And then we'll take that, scooch it, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of our weird made up perspective. And then we'll just use the eraser to just clip it a bit. Get rid of that. All right. Now we're on one of the higher layers, and we'll put the bars in. And as a quick thing, I'm just going to copy and paste that and place it. And then copy and paste these two, place them, and paste that one more time. So now we've got bars. And again, we're doing this a little bit rougher than what we've done in the past, just for expediency's sake. And now we need to also need to follow this perspective a little bit and put in the other side. So this will be the other side of the prison, right? Similar size cell on the other side. And then, of course, bars. But we don't need to be quite as precious with that, because it's on the other side and it's not going to be as visible. Because one thing we're going to do is add a little bit of that dark tone underneath this. So we're going to darken up the bars. I think that might be a little too dark. All right, and for those of you who are wondering how in the world I'm drawing such straight lines, it is because I'm holding down the Shift key whilst I draw. Okay, so now if we look at our camera view, this is what we're seeing right here.
Oh, that's
Is
awesome.
is these bars, and then we're gonna take and maybe like on this BG, let's make some darker spots within here. So we get the idea that this is a dark, dank place where, prisoners are kept. This might be a little too big. Just remember, these cells are relatively small. Right. We want to put the spacers for this in between the bars of the other, so that we actually see them. They're not competing with the other images. And that's another thing about composition. Like, you always want to make sure your elements are not competing with each other, but they work together harmoniously. So you're creating an environment that is plausible to an audience, but also doesn't conflict with itself, if that makes any sense at all.
It's kind of like how you don't want to have curved lines touching.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's
Tangents.
sure, tangents are bad. Tangents are something that we can all sort of agree on that aren't a good thing to have around. Okay, so now we need a foreground character. We need an inhabitant of this dank prison cell. So I think that one of the things that would be very telling is something like this.
Just kind of pacing the cage.
We're sitting.
Hmm.
And we don't need to go
With
much
a
farther.
barbell in one arm.
Yeah, something like that. Then I think there's another. Isn't there another fin that would be like right here?
I think so.
Seem to
We're
remember
not
my.
marine biologists, so if you are, can you let us know in the chat if sharks have one or two dorsal fins?
I seem to remember my son telling me something about that, but he's 4, so take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. We can even put like a little bit of just a little bit of light,
Rim light.
a room light right here, so we get the impression that something's going on, somebody's there, but that they're mostly in shadow. All right, now the warden enters, and let's get that going on. So again, we compositionally we need to make sure that we are not competing against ourselves. So we're going to put the eyes of the warden here between the bars. So, but does he stop or does he move on by? I think for time's sake, he's gonna stop here.
We're getting votes that sharks have two fins, not the one.
2 fins. Okay, so
Yeah, so you made the right call.
this will work. You know what? Let's make this even better for the octopus. We are going to give him just a slight upshot, so he is sort of looking down
Mm.
at the shark, not as an equal, but as a superior. Because when we're talking about relationships between characters, there are a couple of things that make one character more dominant than the other: size and elevation. are two big factors. Now we have a dichotomy here because the octopus obviously has the elevation, but it seems that the shark has the size. So it psychologically says that we don't know who's really in power in this situation. It could be him. Him. And I think we, because the octopus's beak would be like down underneath between his legs or somewhere. So I don't think we're gonna have a mouth for him, but we're just gonna hear him talk and not wonder where it comes from, or wonder where it comes from.
You're allowed to wonder.
I mean, heck, it's a talking octopus in a prison cell on a pirate ship, so who cares? As long as you can
That's
hear
a
it
very good
talk
point.
and there's something going on.
Bubbles coming out.
The bubbles just like coming out from my hair. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna play very well.
No, no.
It'll you have to sell it in the eyes, right? You have to sell it in the eyes.
Yeah.
All right, we have to make sure that we see part of that pirate sword, and that it's or maybe he's even got a tentacle resting on it as he's talking for his symbol of status or dominance or whatever it is. So, and another thing we can do is just we'll do a quick clip right here. And in that, we're just going to scoot this guy to one side. And then very slightly just skew a couple of things. And that will help us with his introduction. He's not even like really looking until he gets to the cage. So, resetting the scene, empty cage. We've got this guy. He's doing something. And then Warden enters. And what does Warden do? What's the conflict? We never said there was what conflict there was.
There are a few suggestions. One of them was a prison break.
Okay.
So
So,
maybe there was a prison break.
or maybe there's about to be a prison break.
Mm.
That is gonna get good real quick. All right, so screen direction. We have our octopus here. We have on a screen right, and we have our shark over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reverse this a little. Now, no, I think that we are going to just shoot from behind because we need our shark character right here. Let's do a down shot. So the bars are slightly trailing down like this. And we have our mood set already. So I don't think we need to necessarily continue toning the board. And we'll see just the tip of the warden's eyes here. And he's got his sword, and he's got a firm grasp on said sword. And maybe he's even, you know what, let's frame in on this a bit. So we don't necessarily need to see everything with the warden. We're gonna this is called staging dirty, where not everything is right within the frame. So the octopus here, and I just learned this term not long ago, so I'm excited to use it. But that just means that we're only seeing like a piece or a part, or not necessarily like seeing it as a whole, you know. So maybe a couple of the suckers or whatever he's got on the bottom, but the shark would be responding while he's doing something. So we can see him with lifting a cannonball. Can give it that splotchy, wrought iron sort of look to it.
A little rusty.
A little rusty. So we need to see a muscle on the other side of this, nice and clearly. You've had your chance, Warden. You know. And then, of course, the back of this cell would be disgusting.
Barnacles.
Rags or, whatever's back here, just grossness. Maybe some small prison suit or something. To what do I owe the pleasure? The gills right here. Then the warden, we can just cut back to this here. So let's make a copy of this, and we'll just pop it to the other side here. So we got that, and then that, but then we're just gonna frame in, because now we have a conversation that's happening. It's a little bit more intimate. Maybe have something like this. So, to what do I owe the pleasure? Checking in on you, or what's a good line? What's a good warden line? Give me a good warden line.
All right, so we need like a stone cold line. So we're going to ask the chat to see if they can suggest something, and let's see what you got.
Because right after that, this shark is going to make a move and bite at the bars. So I'm just gonna do some quick organization on this shot really quickly, because it was all on one layer. So this guy is going to go on to layer A. BG is going to stay where it is, and then this octopus is going to go on a higher level. Anybody got a stone cold line they want to put forward?
How about any requests for your last meal?
Oh, the other guy? So that's the shark
For
says this?
The octopus says this, the shark, any request for your last meal, and the shark lunges up towards the bars with his teeth.
And says calamari?
Yeah.
Well, isn't calamari squid? Or is it octopus?
I think so. It's something like that.
I don't know, Warden. I think tonight we're all going to be dining on calamari. And then all the prison doors just open up at once, and all the prisoners come out, and the octopus is surrounded. And then he's got to use all of his 8 limbs to start knocking some heads around and prove why he's the warden. That got good. Man, that got good. So we'll take him. And then he just lunges.
Love it.
And he's going to, we're going to skew him back just a little bit. Tonight we're dining on calamari.
And yeah, if there are any marine biologists watching this, please don't send us any notes.
All notes on purely fictitious tales will be read, but not necessarily responded to. Because sharks don't have eyebrows either, and yet there they are.
Blowing my mind right now.
No, it's all wrong. Everything's wrong. Stop. Show's over.
Just circling that? No.
You're done. Call yourself a storyboard artist. You sicken me, sir.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. Good day. Oh no, he can't have his things down. He's got to be smiling because he knows something that the warden doesn't. Okay, so next we're going to go to behind the warden. Okay, so the warden is going to be taken aback, right? Like, what is this that he's talking about? And he's got his hand on the sword, or his tentacle on the sword, gripping it tight. He's got his big belt. Sword strapped to it. And then behind him is door. I think that maybe the door should be, because he's sort of to the side a bit more. So maybe we don't want to show the actual door. But what we want to show here is one of the cell doors opening behind him. Right? So we've got cell, cell, cell. And then the sort of bar caging here. Each one of the cells kind of goes like that. And then we're going to hijack these lines, stick them on another layer. This guy, we're going to hijack him, stick him on another layer. If we go to the right layer to choose him, let's put him on 9, or on D, layer D, not 9. All right, so let's duplicate this layer. And we're just going to give him just a quick backup, like move this forward. tilts it forward just a little bit so we have like a reaction. What? And then behind him,
Ka-chink, ka-chink.
bubbles. A small explosion. And the door opens. And for this, we might need just a little camera move after the fact. So camera, here we go. And
we're going to truck in on the door.
Just a little drift. Just a little drift over. So we need to get that over just a little bit.
So we're running out of time. Do we want to go and just quickly run through the animatic?
Hold on, one more shot.
All right.
And then we've got I think the ending shot would be this. There's the end of the prison row, and then we've got the octopus here and all of these doors just sort of busting open, right? And he's surrounded. As all these monsters start coming out, there's the crab guy and pulls his sword. As they come out on all sides. And of course, in the middle shot, we'd see all the other doors go and explode. All right, so we have the prison ship repurposed as a prison, or the pirate ship repurposed as a prison. We have open the door and the warden appears, do his inspection. Walking along, he comes across the cage of the notorious shark murderer and says, "So, what'll it be for your last meal?" "I don't know, Warden. What you think?" "I think you should die and not make a fuss." "I was thinking calamari," and then all the other doors explode open, and then soon all the prisoners lumber out of their cells, and the warden is surrounded.
And if you really want to save on animation, you can have an ink cloud come up and fade to black.
You know what? That might be the trick up the warden's sleeve, right? Is the inky cloud cover.
Well, we are out of time. Mike, do you have any recommendations or upcoming events that you'd like to bring to the attention of our audience?
Well, the only thing that I can think of that's coming up is the premiere of the show that I just finished working on a little while ago. It's called Housebroken. Its first season is coming out on Fox. So check it out, May 31st.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a fun
everyone. I just want to thank everyone for tuning into this episode of Collaboratory, and I would like to remind our viewers that the second edition of John Evershed's Adult Animation White Paper is now available on our website, and you can find a link at blog.toonboom.com along with an excerpt from our panel discussion from 5 creators in adult animation. So thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.
Yeah. Come on back.